I'm really sorry we had to make this such an early evening. It's been so long since we've all seen each other.
What time do you make your hospital round?
7 a.m. That's one of the reasons we got to leave early.
Yes. Yeah, well, also tonight we have to see a patient, although she isn't in the hospital.
Who's that?
Deborah Saxon, we thought we'd stop by her place and see how she's doing.
What?
What's the matter with Deborah?
Well, I guess you call it a case of food poisoning.
Yes, it was one of those situations where the treatment was worse than the disease. The police physician decided she had to have a stomach pump.
Well, how did this happen? When?
Well, yesterday evening. I'm sorry, Nancy. I thought you knew about this. Well, it seems that it was a really horrible practical joke. Somebody sent her a box of chocolates that were filled with a household chemical, maybe an insecticide.
Good Lord. Who would do such a thing to Deborah? Does she have any idea?
I have an idea. I think it could have been Nola Madison. Oh, please, forget what I just said.
Nancy, you must have had a reason.
Look, Deborah is the one who should be telling you this. I know that there has been some friction between her and Mrs. Madison, and Mrs. Madison has done some foolish things, but poisoning...
Is Deborah aware of this possibility?
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, from everything else she's told me about all the problems she's been having with that woman.
You know, Miles had some thoughts about her.
Oh.
Like what?
No, it's just that I've met her a few times. I mean, at the movie studio, for example, when I went to take care of that actor who quit the picture. And, well, I got several impressions of the woman. Very strong personality, but troubled, you know, precariously balanced.
Yeah, that's how Deborah feels.
Nancy, what do you know? Now, look, we're all friends of Deborah's, and if this woman poses some kind of threat...
Oh, well, I'd say sending a box of poisoned chocolate was a threat. In fact, isn't it a crime? Attempted murder?
Wait a minute. There was never any question of serious injury. I mean, there was not enough of the chemical to do that much harm.
Yeah, and there certainly isn't any danger of anybody finishing off that box of chocolates either.
No danger of that.
But there is the possibility still of these things happening.
Well, what
Yes, sure.
other things has this woman been doing?
Well, honey, she's been making very annoying phone calls. I mean, they're very childish tricks, but nonetheless, they've been very disturbing.
Especially when played by an adult.
Well, since Mrs. Madison is making threatening gestures against Deborah, she must consider Deborah a threat. Is that the story?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. It's just hard to believe there's only one more day's shooting and this movie is going to be finished.
You remember when you were so worried about our meeting the schedule? Well, we made it.
Well, I think it's a miracle we did when you think of what happened. I mean, Trent Archer quit the picture, and then the director died.
Well, I think a great deal of the credit goes to Brian. You've done a wonderful job, darling.
Well, I really don't remember doing that much of anything. I just shot the picture the way it was written and the way the actors felt the scene should be performed.
Oh, come on, Brian. You did a lot more than that. You pulled the whole company together. You got the job done.
Well, almost done. We have a way to go yet, folks.
Yeah, and not just on the set. I mean, post-production is just as important as filming, right?
Yeah, Dad, have you made up your mind about the editing yet?
Well, of course, I still want Bernie Friedman, to cut it for us. Well, I think he's the best editor in the business, don't you?
Yes, but he won't leave California, darling. He made that very clear.
Well, Los Angeles may be our best bet anyway. I mean, we have to do all that work on, on opticals. There's certainly nobody in this neck of the woods that can handle that stuff like those guys in Hollywood.
No, I think Daddy's right. Editing is real important, and you might as well get the best.
Well, that's going to involve a little while on the coast, isn't it?
Well, personally, I wouldn't mind that in the least. In fact, I think it would be fun, wouldn't it?
We all don't have to go, do we, Daddy?
No, not necessarily.
But I think we should. Besides, the weather is getting colder. Why don't we pack up the house for the winter and all move out to sunny California to live again? Just as we used to.
Gee, Mom, I thought you were through with all that.
I didn't say live there for good, Brian.
Well, how do you feel about that, Brian? I mean, you've been talking about getting some more directing jobs out there.
Is that true, Brian?
Well, after all, I do have a screen credit now. I might as well use it to my advantage, huh?
What would you leave?
Well, I'd have to, wouldn't I? There really isn't much of a chance that we'd be shooting another picture in that studio, is there?
Very little. Darned if I know what we're going to do with that place.
Well, you'll get rid of it somehow. I mean, you could sell it to some outfit that does commercials, maybe.
Oh, I doubt if you'll find a buyer for it, darling. That place was empty for years and years.
Yeah, well, Nola's right. I'm afraid we're just going to have to put it down as an unrecoverable expense.
Look, we were going to see these rushes, weren't we?
Oh,
Yes,
right
over
away.
the wedding scene.
Yeah, I'd like to see it too.
Hurry up.
Okay. All ready in here, Joe, when you are. Okay, good. Okay, now listen, everybody. It's a rough cut, so don't worry about the scratches or anything.
Scene 198, take one, sound 211.
What a terrible pity. Patience is not among the bridesmaids.
No one regrets that more than I, Mr. Whalen.
Such a lovely creature, and so frail. Frail in both body and mind, unfortunately.
I still find it hard to believe that the girl was mad.
The strains of her life were too great for her to bear. Losing her father, her mother, her baby brother, and finding herself alone in the world.
Is there no chance that she might yet recover?
Oh, Hester tells me that the physicians at the asylum give her no hope at all. She must spend the rest of her life in that damnable darkness. I know that you cared for her, Tom.
Yes, I cared.
But today is your wedding day, and you should look forward to the happy future ahead.
Yes, my happy future. Mr. Whalen, we're ready to begin?
Oh, yes. I'm presenting the bride.
A great moment for you, Mr. Halifax.
Yes.
Your bride may not be as lovely as her cousin, but she is nonetheless a very handsome woman, you don't think so?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing you kiss the bride.
We are gathered together to join this man and this woman in lawful matrimony, which is an honorable estate, and one which should be entered into only upon mature consideration and thought, and then reverently having in mind the holy nature of the bond to be assumed. I require and charge you both that if either of you knows of any impediment why you should not be lawfully joined together in matrimony, you now confess it. Tom Halifax, do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to live together in the ordinances and holy estate of matrimony? Will you love her, comfort her, honor and keep her in sickness and in health, forsaking all others, keep only unto her so long as you both shall live? I will. Hester Atherton, do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband, to live together in the ordinances and holy estate of matrimony? Will you love him and comfort him and honor and keep him in sickness and in health, forsaking all others, keep only unto him so long as you both shall live?
I will.
Repeat after me. I, Tom, take thee, Hester, to be my wedded wife, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do us part, and I pledge you my troth. I, Hester, take thee, Tom, to be my wedded husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
till death do us part.
till death do us part.
And I pledge you my troth.
And I pledge you my troth.
Inasmuch as Tom and Hester have now joined together in lawful wedlock, and have witnessed the same before this company, and thereto have been given and pledged their troth, each to each other, I, in accordance with the authority vested in me by the laws of this state, pronounce that they are man and wife. You may kiss the bride.
No, not here. I don't want to be kissed here.
And Hester, you forgot the flowers.
Oh my God!
What's that?
A witch!
Nola, that was a fantastic scene. You're going to scare them right out of their seats.
Yeah, now the only problem is to get them into the seats in the first place,
Well,
right?
it proves one thing, doesn't it? Not all brides are beautiful.
Well, that's for sure.
But then, of course, brides become wives, and wives are never as interesting. Isn't that right, Owen?
Joe, I'm just going to come in there to pick the film up, right?
Brian, why don't we go finish that game we started?
You are on.
Okay.
That was very interesting, wasn't it?
It's a great scene, Nola. You're going to knock them dead.
I wasn't talking about the scene. I meant what Owen said about the studio.
Oh, now, Nola, please don't lay that on me anymore.
The studio is absolutely useless to us now, Eddie. It's a liability. But we could turn it into an asset with one final, spectacular curse on Mansion of the Damned. Eddie, I still think it's a marvelous idea.
I say it's a criminal act. It's arson. People get put in jail for committing arson.
But it's our own studio, Eddie. We bought and paid for it.
Look, it's insured, isn't it? I mean, this wouldn't be the first time that some fly-by-night film company has decided to cut its losses by striking a match at the right time.
You know I wouldn't be doing it for the insurance. I'd be doing it for the movie.
Yeah, and you might kill the movie by doing it. Suppose someone found out.
There's no reason for anyone to find out. Please, Eddie, help me do this, please.
Look, Nola, it's not as easy to light a building on fire as you think it is. If that volunteer fire company is any good, they might get there before it even does any damage.
Well, couldn't we use gasoline or something? Look, I saw some flammable chemicals at the soundstage, and I could bring a can of gasoline from the garage.
Nola, fire is a very tricky thing. If it gets out of control, it could hurt somebody.
Oh, yes, Eddie, I know that. Of course I realize that.
Hello.
Deborah.
Hi. How are you? Oh, it's nice to have company. Yeah, I bet it is. Come on in. Look, I think I'm going to live all right, Doctor. I don't think I'm going to be eating any more chocolate, though.
Well, have you come up with any ideas yet about who might have sent you this gift?
Hey, Doctor, I'm supposed to be the detective around here, remember?
Yeah. Well, why don't you consider it a diagnostic question?
No, I don't have any idea.
All right, Deborah, I'm going to be honest with you. Nicole and I just talked about this with Mike and Nancy Carr. We just had dinner there.
Miles, do you think we should?
Yes, I said I want to be honest. Nancy wants to be honest. She said it was all right to talk about this with you.
Deborah, she didn't tell us very much, and I'm sure she didn't break any confidence, but what she did say was that, in her opinion, it might have been Mrs. Nola Madison who sent you those chocolates.
We thought it might have been important enough for you to consider the possibility.
Yeah, well, I have considered it, Miles, and I am absolutely sure it was Mrs. Madison.
Well, Deborah, if you're sure, well, as you said, you are the law.
Well, that doesn't mean I could prove it. Doesn't mean that I want to prove it either, for that matter.
Well, now, listen, I don't want to pry into this. I'm sure you know that. But if it were If it were just a matter of a few prank phone calls,
Well, I
Deborah,
think that's bad enough.
Yes, it is bad enough, but if the woman is trying to do something health-threatening to you, well, look, I'm a doctor. That gets my back up.
Look, you know, I think it was just her idea of a joke.
Well, it's a very sick joke.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm afraid sick might be the word to describe Mrs. Madison's condition. If I knew Owen Madison better, I might even discuss it with him.
Yes, but Miles and I aren't concerned about that right now. What we're worried about is that she might try something else.
And we just
something
thought
even nastier.
you ought to be warned, Deborah. Apparently you don't need the warning.
But that doesn't mean that you don't need outside help.
Look, it's really good of you guys to come over here and try to help me out, but I don't really think it's necessary. Now, I don't think Mrs. Madison is that dangerous. I really don't. And once this movie is over and hopefully it's successful, I think she's just going to have her mind on other things.
I don't want you to take her lightly, Deborah. Please, just remember that.
All right, that triple letter score is 15 plus 3. That gives a double word score, 36 points.
All that for a 3-letter word?
Genius must be recognized.
That's not fair, Brian. Ever since I've been a little kid, you've been beating me at these games. I would have had a wonderful childhood if it hadn't been for you. Do you remember then? Gosh, it feels like it would have been a completely different place.
It's your turn, Paige.
Yeah. Is what Uncle Eddie said true? Are you going to go to Hollywood?
I really haven't decided yet, or as far as becoming a hotshot director because of one picture, that is just daydreaming.
Well, you used to be very excited about your job right here at WMON.
What I thought I'd do is go out there with Dad when he edits the picture and look around, see what's happening, see if I could land even an assistant director job in pictures.
Well, that settles it. I'm going to Hollywood, too.
I don't think that's such a good idea, Paige.
Why not? If you can go and try out your directing career, I can go and try out my acting career. I mean, it's my first movie, too.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I couldn't stop you.
No, you can't stop me. If you're going to Hollywood, I'm going with you.
Not with me, Paige. Look, if we do leave Monticello, it's got to be separately.
But I don't want to be separated from you. Don't you understand that?
It's your turn, Paige.
Brian, God, don't do this. How can you pretend? How can you act this way, pretending you don't feel for me anymore?
Paige, I think we better call this a...
Brian, look at me. Can't you see that I still feel the same way, exactly the same way? I love you. I love you, and I don't care who our parents are. It's got nothing to do with the way I feel for you.
Paige, you have got to care. It's impossible not to. It's just not natural.
It's not natural to love somebody, to want to be in their arms. God, Brian, you love me, and I love you. That's all that should matter. Nothing else should matter. Nothing. Brian, we could go away together. Not to Hollywood. We can't go there. People know us, but we could leave the country. Remember how we used to talk about that? Going to live in Paris or Rome?
It was kid talk, Paige. It still is.
But if we could get away from everybody who knows us, then we could live the way we want to. Brian, they make movies overseas. You might have an easier time of it there. You might be a big, famous American director.
It's impossible, Paige. Don't you understand that? Now, please forget it.
Why? Why? Because you've changed your feelings?
No.
You don't feel the same way?
You know that's not true.
Was it, Brian? Just the truth that changed it? The damn truth? Just one little tiny conversation with our father, and that was it?
Yes. One conversation with our father. That changed everything.
I don't believe you. I don't believe it changed your heart. Maybe your mind.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I was looking for you, Brian. I wanted to talk to you about tomorrow's shooting.
He's all yours, Uncle Eddie.
I'm sorry. I interrupted something, didn't I?
It's all right, Eddie. Paige was just feeling a little emotional.
I guess I know what that was about, don't I?
I'm sorry. I thought things were working out. I guess there are still a few problems.
Some problems just don't go away.
I guess not. Well, what was it you wanted to talk to me about, Eddie? Something about the shooting?
Well, it actually wasn't about the picture. I just wanted to talk to you. But now I think maybe it would be better if we talk more privately, away from this house.
Sure, whatever you say.
Would you be available, say, tomorrow night after the shooting?
I don't have any plans.
Good. We'll have dinner. Someplace where it's quiet and we can talk. I have something to say to you, Brian. Something very important.